Hello, welcome to Run Good Lifestyle, the Sportsbook edition. Despite our technical difficulties, I have Sammy DeBowl here. Welcome, Sammy.
Thank you.
Um, Interesting day yesterday, in my opinion, only to the fact that they were mostly duds in the college football playoffs we're talking about. And I have a lot of issues with having such a build-up for a playoff system and they lay an egg. There was really only one game yesterday, and that was the Miami Texas A&M game. And honestly, that was the only decision the committee had to make was it Miami or Notre Dame getting in? And that presents a problem to me if, we aren't getting the best teams in and, James Madison, great season, very happy for them, but we're way overmatched and just, you know, good for them to have a good season, but bad for fans to have to watch that game. So I'll stop there and just give me some of your points, Sam.
So we had four games. Two of the four were duds. I think you're forgetting the Friday night game, Oklahoma, Alabama, which was an awesome game, I thought.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, correct.
Okay, that was Friday night, so it
Yeah.
probably threw you off. But I thought the Oklahoma Bama game was good, and I thought, although an ugly game with Miami and A&M, I thought that was a fairly good game to watch. Hard to watch because it was so ugly, but those two I think lived up to the hype. But I couldn't agree with you more, Alan, when you say you have an issue with, and then you say that presents a problem. I agree with you. I mean, Tulane had no business being there, and James Madison had no business being in the college football playoff. It would have been better suited for Notre Dame. It would have been better suited for the fans. It would have been better suited for everyone involved if Notre Dame and you pick the team, whoever that may be.
Well, we
Uh,
had I mean, Texas would have been appropriate.
Three
Notre
lost
Dame,
Texas.
obviously,
Mhm.
and I don't know who else was in the running, but those two teams, just those two teams replacing Tulane and James Madison makes a huge difference. Not only probably in the ratings, but also in just for the fans to enjoy the playoffs. Would have been more enjoyable. And obviously James Madison and Tulane had no chance at winning a national championship. None, zero, nada. And it was a waste of a pick. And sorry if you're a Tulane graduate and fan or a James Madison graduate and fan. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the 12 best teams going head to head, or not, should not all head to head, but going up against each other in a bracketed system to find out who was the best. Period.
I agree with you. And I'll repeat what you said. All kudos to Tulane and all kudos to James Madison. They had a phenomenal year. They still didn't belong in the 12 team playoff.
Correct. Just a couple housekeeping notes. If you are watching on Facebook and you want to make some comments, you have to go to the YouTube channel, Run Good Lifestyle, and you can comment on that. And we will try to, if you have some legitimate statements, some of the stuff I get on here are just like insanely crazy. So if you have something you want to say, go to Run Good Lifestyle on my YouTube channel. Share, like, and subscribe. And you can comment on the good, bad, and the ugly of Sammy DeBowl and Big Al's commentary of the game. So
Hey,
enough
little
that.
Al, let me let me dig one step deeper here in
Sure.
what you started off with. Why do you think that Tulane and JMU were in it in the first place? Why were they in it?
Well,
They
they
should
were
have been.
guaranteed
Why?
spots. They were guaranteed spots. And
Why though?
well, that's what the committee set up.
Okay.
What do you mean why? I'm trying. I mean, I know you're searching. You're coming up with something profoundly intelligent. So just go ahead and say it.
What I've heard, and I believe this, is if they would have left them out of the whole system, there would be heavy lawsuits against the college football committee. I don't
Okay.
know if it's the committee or
Wow.
something, someone.
Now that is, honestly, that is for the first time you've given me some news that I can look back and say, wow, that was informative if it was true. I don't know. Now,
Well, I'll
with
use your
all
word. You said intelligent, so I want to say I'm intelligent, or at
well,
least my comment was.
you have some intelligence. That was something I can work with. Now, if that's true, that's crazy. But I don't think that. I mean, I think it should be. Obviously, all the money that these teams and these conferences make from making it to the playoffs, that makes sense. I would like to know if that's a true statement. I wish I had, like Joe Rogan has, a guy that just does checks facts.
I thought I was that guy.
Well, I I don't know if you are. Sometimes you say stuff that are not factual, so I would say that you're not that guy.
Well, I'll tell
Uh,
you when it's my opinion and not. But
well,
that's just what I've heard from the
opinion
analysts that actually
have
are
fact
reputable.
checkers. Okay, well maybe that's true.
But
Maybe.
how are you supposed to prove that? Oh well, let's keep them out and see if we get sued. Like you can't. I mean, you can't
Oh
prove it.
no, I think that there's some legitimacy to conferences that have a chance. But if you're not ranked in the top 20, what was Tulane, or I don't know which one was ranked higher, but weren't they like 24th or 25th
I
ranked,
don't
which
know.
is which is you
I'm
know
not sure.
BS too. I mean, I don't know if they were not the 20th or 24th. I think I want to say that 24th was the highest ranking. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 20, but they weren't in the top 10. They weren't in the top 15. Let's put it that way.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
The other
So
thing I'll say is if the ACC had a better system and a better way to determine who plays in their championship games, uh, then Miami probably would have been playing in the ACC championship game, not Duke. And
right.
Miami would, let's just say hypothetically, Miami wins. Uh, then they get an automatic bid. Then Notre Dame gets a bid, and it leaves either JMU or Tulane out, and it would have been made it for much better viewing for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and also the other point that I wanted to make on this, and I agree with what you're saying there. The other point I want to make with this, I think it's sort of, I always wanted more teams in the playoffs, but let's be honest, I think they had it right when there was four. There's really, in my opinion, only four teams that had. Well, that's not true because I don't think Texas A&M was a good representative of the fourth because of what we said earlier, not playing. Alabama, not playing Oklahoma, not playing Georgia, but they were in their, top rankings of their conference. So, that being said, I still think that when the committee picked four teams, I think they pretty much got it right.
You're always going to have an argument whether you're at four, then five, six, and seven are going to have an argument.
Agreed.
Whether you have 8, 9, 10, 11 are going to have an. I mean, it's just it's always going to be. Personally, I get more games this way. I'd rather see it this way and have 2 dud games, but all the rest be pretty good, as opposed to 4 games, 4 teams, 2 games, and then another 1 game for the championship. I actually like this format. Um, Argue with it all you want. You're always going to get arguments, regardless of how many teams and what format you have, because of the teams that don't make it and their fan base wanting to make it.
Right.
And they're always going to have reasons, some objective, some not objective. But I like it. I think it's better than 4. I would argue that at least.
Well, I agree with you that it's better than four if you're going to get the 12 best teams. I mean, if you're going to get the 12 best teams, I'm all for more football. I mean, that's obviously that's what the fans want. The public wants more,
Yeah.
but flip side of that, are these players, are these college students, students, not heavy on the student, but are these athletes at more risk, and is it worth it to them? I, that's the question. So yes, I would love to have more teams, you know, but more legitimate teams that actually have a chance to win a championship. And I think eight. I don't think 8 teams this year had a legitimate chance to win a national championship.
You mean
That's all I'll
12?
say. Oh, 12. I'm sorry. Correct. Yeah, I don't think eight. I don't think there was 8 teams. I think there were 6 teams, in my opinion, that had an opportunity to win a national championship.
Well, maybe I'm taking a step to what we're going to discuss next, but we're at the final eight now. So you tell me, of the final eight, who doesn't belong? Who has zero chance of the final eight right now?
Good
I
point.
think everyone has a chance.
Yeah, good point. Point well taken. All right, so 8 teams. You know, I, you know,
I would argue 16 teams if you just don't put JMU and Tulane in.
I disagree. I don't. I
I mean, so
mean,
let me just
I
say,
don't think. I don't think
if you
Notre
put
Dame.
Texas and Notre Dame in
I don't think
instead
Notre
of
Dame. I don't
JMU
think
and
no. Yeah, I don't think either one of those teams have a chance to win a national championship. Sorry, Notre Dame fans. Sorry, Texas fans. You know, there's a reason why you had 2 or 3 losses. You know, I'm
Ohio
sorry.
State had two losses and ran the table last year and wasn't even close in many cases.
Um, 2 losses. One was early. The other one was just bad
Late.
coaching late. Yeah, I mean, I
Regardless
agree.
of the reasoning, they had two losses.
I
It can
agreed,
be
agreed,
argued that they
agreed, agreed.
shouldn't have made it last year.
Agreed. But you know, they were at a talent level different than I think
I
either one
agree
of those
there. I
teams.
agree
I
there.
mean, I don't think Texas or Notre Dame has the talent level that we had last year. I'm a homer a little bit, but that's what I believe.
Okay.
Um, so okay, let's get back to that. Should there be, in your opinion, so you think there should be 16 teams?
No, I'm not
Okay,
sure. I like the format as it is now. I think you're rewarding the top four teams. However, you determine who those top four are, they're getting a reward by having a bye first round. I actually think that's something to play for through the season. So I
great, agreed.
like that.
So let's
Um,
ask that. I want to ask you a question about that because the people that I've been listening to are and rightly so, sort of excited to see what happens with these 4 teams that had buys because of what happened to the buy teams last year. Um,
Completely different process, by the way.
Agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's don't get ahead of ourselves. So if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but every team that had a bye got beat, correct? In
If
the
I had to
second round.
correct you every time you were wrong, I would be interrupting way too much.
Not true,
All
but
right.
okay.
So
That I don't
correct me if
find you
I'm
funny
wrong.
much.
Correct me if
I
I'm
don't,
wrong, but I was too worried about that joke as opposed to hearing what you said. So can you please repeat it?
now I've lost my train of thought. I can't even remember what I was going to say.
Mission accomplished.
No, I'm saying so. The both are the teams that had buys last year. They all lost, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, um, do you think that holds true this year?
No, because I think that the top four teams in the country truly got buys this year. Last year they were conference winners and other systems that allowed those teams to have buys. They didn't have it set up properly last year.
Correct. I will say though, and I think you're correct on that, by the way, too. I can't believe I found some common ground with you,
Yeah.
but that's awesome. That's good for the podcast to agree every once in a while. But that being said, um, I think that not only was it better seated with the best players get or best players, best teams getting the buys, but also the regions in where they got their draws. So the higher draw Did you think that was fair? Let's go with that.
I'm not sure what you're saying. The regions with the higher draws. Expand on that.
So, like Texas A&M, if they would have won, they were going to basically have a home game in the Cotton Bowl. They didn't win, obviously. Miami, if they would have gotten a draw to play in the Bowl if they win, which they didn't deserve because they were
I
lower.
see what you're saying.
So, do you think that was done correctly?
I'll answer it this way. I think the committee got it right, although I don't agree with the committee putting rankings out every week and then them contradicting themselves and Alabama got in because they had a great running game. Like I don't agree with any of that BS. The
No.
making the sausage, so to speak. How do
Right.
you make the final food? I don't care about any of that stuff. They got it right in the end. The final food came out. It was proper. Regardless, obviously, given this fact that Tulane and JMU were in. But outside of that, I think the committee got it right. I think the right
Right.
teams were placed in the proper way. The fact that if Texas A&M would have won, they would have had to play in their home state against Ohio State. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Those are predefined as to where those locations are. So
So the
I don't think if
let me interrupt you a second.
uh-huh.
I know because so you were saying the number one seed. This was predefined as the number one seed was going to the Rose Bowl. The number
Yes,
two seed was going. Okay,
yes,
those. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah.
that's not learn something new from you every day.
So
Unbelievable.
when we went to the national championship last year, we went to Atlanta, Georgia. We saw Ohio State and Notre Dame play. If for some reason Ohio State had to play Georgia, like that could be argued that that's a home game for Georgia, but that was predefined as to where that game was going to be held. So
Well, that's different. The national championship was different than the seedings for the second round. That was. I mean, that was.
okay, but
Yeah. I mean,
the same concept holds true.
are you're positive about that?
No,
That
I'm
was
not positive. I'm pretty certain. I'm not 100% positive.
so it was predetermined where the number one seed was playing, where the number
I'm
two
pretty
seed was
certain,
playing,
yes.
and
Because
okay,
beforehand, everyone said that Ohio State wanted to go to the Rose. They want to play in the Rose Bowl. Well, why did they
gotcha,
want to play in the Rose Bowl? Not because they wanted to travel all across country, because they wanted that number one seed.
gotcha. Okay, all right, fair enough, and I think that's true too. All right,
Oh, by the way, I just got something that came over. Michigan offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey is leaving to become the new offensive coordinator at Missouri. So
okay,
just another
Exodus,
slap in the
Exodus.
face to not even a slap in the face, another deservingly negative that happened over there in the state up north.
Yeah, and I think it's going to continue. Have they have they even talked about their search or what's
Joel
what's
Klatt
got
had a podcast, not not a full podcast on it, but he talked a lot about it on one of his podcasts about who their who the best
targeting?
candidates would be. But I think they're being tight-lipped. I think they have to get rid of their athletic director and kind of clean house, and then
Well,
hire
yeah,
somebody new before they make any coaching decisions.
I think there's going to be a whole house cleaning from all the shit that's gone down. Well, maybe Joel will hear this and he'll want to come on our podcast. So that'd be great.
Yeah,
Joel, you're
that's if
welcome.
we want him on, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll try to fit him in. I'm not sure. I love Joel, one of my favorite guys to listen to. I think he has great perspective. I think he does a great job in game commentary. I think the he's one of the greats. So thanks,
I
Joel.
agree.
And
I
you're
agree.
welcome anytime. We will definitely make room, and we will mute Sammy DeBull so you and I can have an intelligent conversation.
It's gonna get boring then.
All right. So moving on to the
Hey, Brian,
matchups.
I just heard this. Brian Kelly to Notre Dame. They're not cleaning house. They're bringing in scumbags.
That would be funny. That would be make my day. Brian Kelly to Michigan. Wow. Breaking news. You heard it from Sammy DeBull.
Fake news.
All right. Matchups. Obviously, we'll start with the Ohio State Miami game. and I think this is a pretty good matchup for us. I think it starts out at -9, right? Ohio State favored -9.
Oh, I didn't even see. Okay.
I think so.
I won't argue
Uh,
with that.
I'll please. I need an argument. Um, tell me your, give me your thoughts on the game. Then I'm gonna let you go
I
first
mean,
this
for
time.
any of you that saw that horrific game yesterday, I thought it was a good game just because it was a close game. I think Miami missed 3 field goals, A&M missed one, and yes, it was windy. It was also windy in the Ohio State Michigan game, and there were a lot of points put up there. And I'm only bringing up Ohio State. Obviously, I'm a homer, but I just recall that that game was very windy, and I was just in tune to that game. So I don't think the wind um, should be a reason or an excuse as to why 13 points got put up total for both teams. But if you look at the Ohio State Miami matchup, um, if Miami couldn't move the ball against A&M's defense, albeit A&M has a very good defense and A&M is a tough place to play, how is Miami going to move the ball on Ohio State's defense? I don't see it. I think Carson Beck is one of those guys that when he makes one mistake turns into 2 and 3 and 4, and it could be a downward spiral. I do think that Miami has a very good defensive line. That's where Ohio State struggled against Indiana. Specifically, a guy by the name of Tegra, who is Ohio State's right either guard or tackle on the offensive line.
Yeah,
When we put his replacement in, he played much better. So assuming that line offensive line struggles on the right side in particular for Ohio State, so it will be the left side of Miami's defensive line. Assuming that gets enhanced,
short up.
uh, not even 100% short up, but just better. I don't see Ohio State having too many problems with Miami in general. I just think the talent is going to play out. I think Miami's a talented team. I mean, they were number 3 in the nation throughout the year. At some points throughout the year, I just don't think they're a consistent enough team. And even if they put it together, I think it's got to be a perfect storm for Miami, like it was for Indiana. And Ohio State probably has to play a C- game. If Ohio State
Right.
plays a C or better game, I don't think this game is close.
Yeah, and I agree with pretty much everything there. I do believe that being able to play a game, having a game under your belt is going to help Miami. I really do. And I don't know if that extends to the whole game, but I think the first half for sure. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a close first half, and I picture us making the adjustments and getting our legs underneath us in the second half, and just I think we're better at pretty much every position. I was looking up the matchup, and I don't really see, except for the offensive line um, issues that you mentioned. I don't see much areas where I say, "Wow, man, Miami really has an edge here." There's some, obviously there are positions that are close, but I don't see like an overwhelming edge anywhere for Miami. Whereas I see some overwhelming edges on our part when it comes to matchups. And again, maybe I'm being a little bit of a homer here, but I just feel like we're talented, more talented across the board. That being said, like you said, early on in the season, Miami was, a wrecking ball. They were tough. They looked great. They looked like they were the front runners when Ohio State was still being evaluated, and so I think it's going to be one of those games where if we take care of the football, we don't make mistakes where we're just giving them short fields or we're giving them turnovers in our zone. I just think we run away with this. Honestly, that's my prediction. Um, so again, it remains to be seen, but I got the Buckeyes big in the second half on this
So
one.
I have to give credit to Miami, even though the wind was there, and I said that shouldn't have been that much of a factor. It should be a factor on field goals. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
give credit to Miami for holding Texas A&M to 3 points at least. That's as ugly of a game as that was. Uh, give the defense for Miami credit.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously it has to be played off in the field. And again, I think we come in possibly a little rusty. So, we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the Oregon Texas Tech game, which, by the way, as far as the odds go, it's the closest game that we have, or they have on on the spreads. And
What is that
Texas,
spread?
it's Oregon -1.5.
Wow.
And that's played at the Orange Bowl, right? Yeah. Play at the Orange Bowl, and long way to travel for Oregon. Um, not so much for uh, Texas Tech, and I think this is super intriguing. I honestly think that Texas Tech could just run away with this. I don't know. I was shocked when I saw this line. I think they have. I anyway. I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
To use your word, super intriguing. I agree, but when you're at the final eight, a 4-5 matchup should be a super intriguing game.
I agree.
Um, I'm rooting for Oregon just because I'd love being a homer. I'd love to see 3 Big 10 schools in the Final Four. But I mean, I'm going to go back to what you said about Oregon in the past. I mean, they're more of a physical team than most think.
Right.
Um, and a lot of people think, oh, stylistic and technique and talent, and I think all of that's true. I think Oregon's still a year away. I've said this all year. They're a year away from being a very good team because a lot of that talent that they have is young. So more to come on Oregon in the coming years. I think they're going to be a really good team. I think Dan Lanning's a great coach. In
I do
terms of
too.
matchups, yeah, in terms of matchups, I don't have a lot for you here. I don't know Texas Tech well enough. I don't know how much competition they've had in their conference. I don't know how much they've been tested. I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying I don't know. But that's all I really got for you. I don't have a lot of great matchups here, other than just 2 good teams. I'm looking forward to seeing them play.
Yeah, I think I you hit it on the head for me. I think Oregon is way, and I brought this up when they played Iowa. I thought those teams back then were playing under different disguises than they're looked at nationally. But and I think Oregon sort of proved how physical they were last night. They beat them up, and that's part of playing in the Big Ten too. I think you have to be the more physical team um, at any. I don't care what conference you're in, that helps, but especially in the Big Ten. Um, Now that being said, I was shocked at how JMU moved the ball on their defense, and Texas's offense, I think, is lightning. And I think their defense is underrated a little bit. A lot of people aren't talking about
I would
how
agree.
good Texas Tech's defense is. So I just really think that this is a bad matchup for Oregon, in my opinion. I think Texas Tech's a bad matchup for anybody, honestly, but especially with um, Oregon's defense, which I think is I think they're good. I don't think they're great.
So I didn't watch that Oregon JMU game yesterday. I had no interest. I mean, if I was home doing nothing, I would have, but we had some plans last night. But here's something I'll bring out, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Alan. It sounds like JMU put some points on the board. However, at halftime, the score was 34-6. Right.
Well, what
All of
what
those
so,
points were in the second half. So
hold on a
did
minute.
Oregon, play a prevent type of a style? Did Oregon maybe let their foot off the gas? I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch the game, but like those are my questions back to you of your concerns about JMU putting some points up. At halftime, it was 34-6.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, when I said points was probably the wrong statement. They moved the ball on them. There was a couple fourth down plays that they went for, didn't get. But they moved the ball,
Okay.
and I honestly didn't think they, with, you know, the defense that they were supposed to have, I didn't see that uh, I didn't think they would be able to do that. And I just felt like they were way overmatched against Oregon. They still found a way to move the ball, which when you get a team like Texas Tech, and again, maybe you're correct, they haven't played the same type of physicality schedule that Oregon has. That remains to be seen, but I just think they're going to be really tough to deal with for Oregon. So we'll see how that
So is
plays
your
out.
pick Texas Tech then?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I would go with Oregon, by the way.
All right. Well, let's hold that off because we're going to do that at the end. We're going to pick those.
Why does it
Okay.
matter? Like you can't catch up.
Don't start. You didn't give me. You kept dodging me. You dodged me for 3 weeks, so I don't want to hear it.
I was shaking in my boots.
All right, Alabama, Indiana. Um, Good game, but it's Indiana -7. What do you think of that line?
Did you ask what I thought of the game or the line?
Yeah, you're cutting out there. I don't know if that's.
Did you ask what I thought of the game? What do I think of the game, or what do I think of the line
It's -7. What do you think of that line?
of that line? Probably appropriate.
Really?
I say probably because Bama really surprised me against Georgia. I did not expect that. Um, I think Georgia was kind of a hit or miss team all year long, but give them credit. They got the wins. They did what they needed to do. And then just the blowout of the SEC game just surprised me. So it just depends on what Bama team shows up. Give them credit. We didn't talk about the Oklahoma Bama game, but what a game that was, a tale of two halves.
Well, I mean, Oklahoma just shot themselves in the foot. I mean, literally,
They did.
they're up. If he doesn't throw the pick six, they don't get the punter drops the ball. I mean, they're up 17-0 and rolling. And all momentum was them. And
I'm far from a Bama fan, but give Bama credit for getting out of the 17-0 deficit, and then they went on to win by 10.
yeah,
Right?
well,
So
they just Oklahoma just totally collapsed. I'm sorry.
completely agree, but
I wasn't
Alabama
more.
could have folded their tents and just called it a season, and they I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Bama
I'm
could have
sorry.
folded their tents,
That was
called
a
it a
fake.
season, and they
That
chose not to.
Alabama's fake news.
Okay,
This line should be more like 10 or 12.
I I'm not disagreeing. Very well may. It just depends on what Bama team's going to show up. I think Indiana has been consistent all year long. I do think Indiana has been tested. They had a tough game against Iowa. They had a tough game against Penn State, actually losing in both of those games and came back. Mendoza actually had some good drives on the final drives for both of those games. And then, of course, the Indiana beating Ohio State. Tons of credit for Indiana for doing all of that. They should be the favorite. I like if it's a 9 or a 10 point spread, which I know it's not. I take Bama with the points.
Yeah. Okay. All that what you said is correct. And my only question about Indiana, and you're probably going to be able to tell fairly quick in the game, is did they peak too soon? And Indiana's new to this winning, not the coach, but the players. And if you know how it is when you start believing the press clippings and aren't humble. Now, I really like the Mendoza kid because he is probably one of the most humble Heisman Trophy winners that I've seen. And I really, even though he's goofy, I think that he's humble, and I think that's what a little bit of a question mark is. Will this team be humble enough to put in the preparation, be locked in physically and mentally to go out there and take care of business? That's the only thing that would keep me from saying this line is bogus. Now, flip side, again, just like Ohio State and Miami, I don't see anywhere that Alabama at any position is better than Indiana. Do you?
Yeah,
Where?
Alabama's defensive line is pretty solid.
It's not better than Indiana's defensive line. I don't think they
It
freaking
would be
dominate
Indiana.
us.
I'm sorry. It would be Bama's defensive line against Indiana's offensive line.
I'm sorry. Yes, I don't see them. I don't. That's what I meant. Did I say defensive line?
Yeah.
Their offensive line didn't against us and against pretty much everybody in the conference. Pretty much manhandled our defensive line. Didn't I know that they only scored a few points, but just like I was saying about JMU's offense, they moved the ball on us pretty much at will, and every big play they needed, they got. Yeah, they did. They moved up and down the field. They 100%. They just didn't score.
I mean, are the refs going to keep the yellow things in their
Oh, here we
pockets, or
go.
are they gonna
Here we
call
go.
holding every once in a while when Indiana and Alabama play? I'm not sure. Like,
Oh my gosh. Here's the Homer.
hey,
Homer DeBold just came through.
100% credit to Indiana for winning that game, right?
Yeah,
I
it was
just thought
not a
there were about
referee's issue.
8 or 9 times that I've seen
I'll
holding,
take
and
the
of course,
under.
holding's going to not be called all the time, but some egregious ones. It just
Oh my
my
gosh.
point to you, Alan, is you're asking if there's a glaring spot matchup that Indiana doesn't have the edge. I'm not saying Bama's defensive line is so great and far superior, but I'm just saying it's probably equal. I don't think that Indiana
Right.
has a great
I
edge.
agree. I agree with that statement.
Okay.
That was my point. But on the flip side, I see a lot of I don't know matchups that I like in Indiana's favor, where I think they're heavily favored. They have a better quarterback, they have better receivers, their defensive backs were solid, and their defensive line, like you said, against Alabama's offensive line. I mean, that's what happened with, in my opinion, that Oklahoma just took the foot off the gas with their defensive line. Just quit. I don't know
I, I don't get
if
it.
they.
I don't get it.
I don't know what happened, but they were just dominating their offensive line
Well,
of Alabama. So I just see where Indiana is much better in more spots than Indiana or Alabama is my point.
let
And
me
there are
bring
some
up
places
one
where
other
they're equal.
thing about Indiana. And again, I give all the credit to Indiana, and I like this, even though you call him goofy. I like this Mendoza kid. Um, a lot of the balls, and I'm not just speaking of the Indiana Ohio State game, I'm speaking of Indiana Oregon, Indiana
Penn
Iowa,
State.
Indiana Penn State. A lot of these balls he throws up are 50-50 balls. And the same could be said about Julian Sand because they
Yeah.
just let the Ohio State wide receivers go after it. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing. But what I am saying is when you throw up a 50-50 ball and it's 50% not in your favor, and that happens more often than if it did happen more often than not, then where do they go? Right? Like, don't
Well,
get me wrong.
hold
The
on a minute.
top two,
Let me stop you for a second. Now, you say 50-50 ball, which is ludicrous and
not.
vastly stop is vastly inaccurate. His accuracy down the field was amazing. When I say accuracy, he put it in spots where it wasn't 50-50. It was more 70-30. His guy had more of an opportunity. Now, could have our players made plays and batted them down, of course. And the Penn State throw to win the game is a prime example. You cannot call that a 50-50 ball. Was it a chance for the defense to knock it down? Yes, but he put it in a position where his player had that catch was more amazing than the throw to get his feet down, and he put it in a spot only his player really had a play on that ball. So you're vastly mistaken if you think those were 50-50 balls.
I may back off a little on 50-50, but I would not call them
Good.
70-30.
I'm just they were the right throws for the right defenses. Number one. Now the throws were accurately placed. He read the defense. He put the ball to the right area, almost not all the time. That no one does, but I would say when I watched, he was more putting it to the right area than not, and that doesn't equate to 50-50. More 70-30.
So more credit to Mendoza for that, and I would tend to agree with you more than my
Okay,
statement. Okay, so
thank
I'll
you.
I'll back off on that.
Yes, yes, that's
However,
a win.
and there's going to be a however, of course.
I
Okay,
don't care.
it
I win.
takes an extraordinary person, receiver, let's call it, to make those types of plays, and that's my point. Um, so
So on that point, I actually said, I don't know if it was with you, but someone I was talking with, that I honestly think from top to bottom, Indiana has better receivers than us. Now I know we have two really good ones, but top to bottom, I think they have better receivers than us.
yeah,
And
they
so
really
they,
surprised me with their third or fourth string. I can't remember which one it was that really tore Ohio State up. They really surprised me
yeah, they're
there,
they're
and I
they're
think
they're
that's where you're
fabulous.
going with that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so, and he knows where to throw it. He threw it in the right areas. Their players went and made plays, and
Yeah.
you can talk all you want about holding and referees. They were the better team that day. Period. I mean, that's just the way it is. And not saying that we can't beat them, because I think we can.
Let,
And I think
let's
if we play again, we will.
let me just. I know I'm diverting here, and I'll ask one question
Shocker.
and I'll shut up about it. If Ohio
I
State
raise.
makes makes the field goal that they miss, and if they kick a field goal instead of going for it on fourth down, and they get that field goal, um, they win by 3. Let's just say everything else holds out. Would you then say Indiana was the better team that day? They were the better team because the score said they were the better team. I'm not necessarily sure they were the better team in general overall.
They took away every strong point we had
They
except for our
did.
defensive line.
They did.
So
We
they
took.
they
I mean,
were
they scored 13 points on us. It's not like they were
they
like
missed the field
so
goal. They
far
missed the
better
field
than
goal.
us.
Yeah, they missed the field goal also.
They did.
And yeah,
They
I
did.
mean, they just played better than us. I'm sorry, Sam. They did.
I thought
You
it
can
was a
look at
very
it,
even game. I thought it was a very even game.
the
They won the
score.
game. More give them credit. I don't necessarily think that they played far and above better than us.
When I looked at the stats, I was shocked because the eye test told me that they just absolutely dominated us. And to your point, when I looked at the stats, they were fairly equal. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to give you this one. I'm not gonna argue it. I mean, I do think they were the better team, and I think they deserve to win.
Answer
We
my
should we
question. If we win by 3, who was the? Would you still say Indiana was the better team?
I would say that they played the better game that day. Yes, for sure, because we got very fortunate at the end, to be in the spot. So I mean, and they made plays. So
All right, let's
you
move
know,
on.
how do we get back to that game?
That's my fault.
Shocker. Um, so now we got the Ole Miss Rebels and the Georgia Bulldogs. Another, I thought, game was going to be. It's closer. The line is the Bulldogs -7. Um, is that where's that game played?
Not sure.
Heck
I don't
on it.
know.
I meant to look that up before we did
Keep
this.
going. I'll look it up now. Keep going.
So the Ole Miss obviously took care of Tulane, which sort of wasn't a shocker. Was a shocker how not a shocker. When you're a competitive athlete, I thought the energy of Ole Miss was like on super a high level, and I love to see it. And I think those kids are playing with a purpose, and I really, even though I think Georgia may be the better team top to bottom, I just feel like this team is playing with a certain level of energy and purpose that some of these other teams aren't, and I really like them. And so I don't know. I've only watched a few games of theirs. I watched obviously the last one, not a real gauge because I don't. They were just totally. It was a total mismatch of talent. But I like the energy, and that's one thing that I think that they're going to bring. And Georgia, like you had said earlier, they're a team that just baffles me. They look at times unbeatable. Then I see them, and I'm like, wow, is that the same Georgia team? So I don't know. I really so I'm tipping my hand on this one, but I like Gold Misses, and I'm silently rooting for them, with the exception if they play Ohio State, just because I'm not a Lane Kiffin fan. So I don't know if that's part of my biases, but definitely
If you're
like
not like Kiffin fan, you should be rooting against LSU, not Ole Miss anymore.
I'm rooting for Ole Miss's kids because I think I don't like the way that all this college football, the Tulane guy, Tulane and the Tulane head coach did it the right way, and I give kudos, even though they shouldn't have been there. I give kudos to him for him doing the right thing and being with his kids that he brought there that trusted him and finished it the right way. So enough said about that. So that's why I'm rooting for Ole Miss, and I think that they bring some really good energy.
You asked where the game's being played. I'll give you one hint that will give it away. We were there, and you almost got beat up.
I I love New Orleans, and I was in the right, by the way, too.
Yes, you were. And I was right
So
by your side. I just wanted to see you hit first, so I
yeah,
had a reason to hit back.
you were begging the guy to hit me. And the Ohio State fans can sometimes be over the top, and that was the case of that game. Won't get into details, but yes, I was about to get my ass kicked, and Sam was praying for the guy to hit me, which I don't know if it was because he wanted to fight or because he wanted me to get hit. I'm still not to this day 100% clear, but
A little bit of both.
that was a great game.
We're
Anyway,
referring to the very first college football playoff when Ohio State and Alabama played in New Orleans, which is
right.
a beautiful stadium, by the way.
Yeah, I was
At the,
impressed. It was it
at the
was it was
time, it
easy to
was
get
called
in.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
Right.
but that's what the Atlanta Stadium's called. So I don't know what that New Orleans Stadium's called now.
I don't either. I don't either. But that was a fun game and a fun atmosphere, and
Yep.
loved the ease of getting in and out. Everything's right there. It was spectacular. That was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was. George Ole Miss, I'll give my take on this. Ellen, I've said it before. You've restated it. Georgia just is just one of those teams you never know what you're going to get, and you can say that about almost any team, but Georgia more so than most. I was very surprised that Ole Miss played with the energy you were referring to. I thought they would, but not as much. But then again, it was Tulane, right?
Yeah,
So
again, I know
it's
that's
hard.
tough. Once you
It's
get
hard
up,
to
it's
give a
easier to
measuring
play with
stick on
energy.
that.
I think if they would have got kicked in the mouth early, maybe that plays out different. But now that they've got on a roll, I think they're going to
Yep.
be super purposeful, and I hope so. I really do. Like I said, I'm rooting for them and the kids, and I don't know. I don't know who's. I think Georgia's the better team, but you know, at, towards the end of the season, Georgia really started being pretty consistent and playing well. So time off may be an issue with them too. So who knows? But I'm gonna root for Ole Miss regardless. And the quarterback, I mean, is really I don't I don't know. I think there's some issues there too. So
What do you mean by issues?
of Georgia's quarterback,
Oh,
I think
Georgia's. I thought you meant Ole
yeah,
Miss.
sorry. I just think he's uh wildly hit or miss. Like sometimes, yeah. So I don't know about. He's a hard guy I could trust uh, with the game on the line. Let's put it that way.
If I look at Ole Miss's season, and if you take Lane Kiffin out of the equation, pretend he wasn't the coach this year. I think Ole Miss loses 2 more games. They're not even in the situation they're in. That's how good of a coach I think that Lane Kiffin is or was for Ole Miss. So take Lane Kiffin out of the equation again because he's not coaching and they look great. Again, it was against Tulane. I don't know what to expect versus Georgia. Like you, I'm an Ole Miss fan. I'm rooting for their players. By the way, the coaches that are coaching this game are going to be on Lane Kiffin's staff
I
at
know.
LSU.
I
But I'm
know.
still rooting for them. And of course, I'm rooting against Georgia. Just nothing against Georgia. Georgia's just good historically. Kirby Smart's just good historically. I think he's a good guy. I don't think there's anything wrong with Kirby. I'm just sick of Georgia. Just like most non-Ohio State fans
They're
are,
sick of Ohio
are
State.
sick of Ohio State. So
Right.
nothing against Georgia. I'm just rooting for Ole Miss. But I don't know what kind of Georgia team you're going to see. If you take away the Georgia Bama game in that SEC championship game, I may pick Ole Miss for the upset straight up. But now that I saw Georgia's body of work against Alabama, how they just dismantled them, I don't know what to think here.
I don't either. Um, I know which way my heart is, and I know which way I'm gonna bet. But I think that Georgia could easily just come out and just have one of those games where they're unbeatable. And to your point, Kirby Smart not only is a great coach, not a good coach, great recruiter. I think he's one of the good guys in college football too. So I am too not rooting for Georgia, but it's for none of the reasons other than I just am tired of seeing Georgia win. Like you said, I'm sure Ohio State non-fans are tired of Ohio State. So now let's go back and pick the games. And what do you want to put a wager on this?
No,
Good,
unless
because
if
I'm
you're
gonna
unless if you're willing to pay up for the wagers that you've lost in the past. Why,
hold
why should I
on.
wipe that
Let's
slate
back it
clean
up.
and
I
put a
did not
wager on
lose.
this?
Back it up. Back it up. Here you go again with these false accusations and false statements. They're like the
That's
50
not a
50
false
balls.
accusation.
I did not lose. We never finished. We never finished. You dodged me for 3 weeks. We couldn't even I had all
I have such
winners.
a far greater lead than
Sure. Okay,
you
that's like
weren't able to
saying
you were not able to claw back.
that's like saying when Alabama was down 17 to zip, they should just quit because they're too far back.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with that, but it would have been more like 35 to zip. Would they have come
Whatever.
back from that?
You call it what you want. You make up the story you want. Your narrative is always a fake narrative. All right, so no bet because you're scared. I
Yeah,
get it. The first game. Who is the first game?
Bama, Indiana. Let's go. 1-9, 1 seed versus the 9 seed.
And
Alabama,
we're
9
we're
seed.
we're going against the spread. I've already said that spread's too low. I'm taking Indiana -7.
I'm going to go with my heart and go with Indiana as well.
Chicken. All right, you're picking first this time. Ohio State, Miami. It was started off at 9.5. It shows now on my screen 10.
So that means the money's on Ohio State early on, and I'm going to stay with Ohio State in the money.
Yeah.
I think this could get ugly quickly. I know you say that it may be a close first half, and it very well may be. But if it is, then I'm doubling down on Ohio State with whatever that in-game line is.
Yeah, I agree. We're agreeing, which is scary. I don't like that. It means that we're thinking the
We're going to
same.
lose.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the opposite. We're both gonna be winners. Man, you're the captain negative. All right, the Oregon Ducks, Texas Tech Red Raiders, Oregon -1.5. Do I go first this time?
Yeah, you go first. I know who you're picking. Go on.
Everybody knows. I tip my hand on every card in this. I'm going Texas Tech. I think they're the better team, and even though you think Oregon's tough and rough and physical, I think the athleticism of Texas Tech and their offense is going to be too much. Texas Tech +1.5.
Yeah, I don't think that there's like a glaring team in my mind here, but I am going to go with Oregon, uh, partially because of my heart, partially because I don't know who has Texas Tech really played, right? I
Yeah,
don't know if they've been battle tested,
yeah,
and
very,
they're a
very.
very good home team, right? But they're playing in a neutral field. Texas Tech plays well. That's a
Where are
tough
they
stadium.
playing? Are they playing in the Georgia Dome, the Peach Bowl?
I'll have to look that one up as well.
They
I
must be
don't
play.
know.
If they must be playing in the Peach Bowl, then is that what? Right? Because aren't those the four: Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and what's
Cotton
Louisiana called?
Cotton Bowl.
Oh, yeah, Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. I'll trust your judgment.
I don't know that. I'm just guess.
Yeah, but
That's terrible.
I
Hey,
think
great
I
podcast. We
like
don't even know
Oregon
where the
here.
top four. Yeah, great cop, great podcast, and great research, guys.
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody put that in the chat. Out of all, like, what? How many? What do we have? Like 500,000 listeners right now?
We're trying to keep it under 1 million. We're going to crash the system.
Okay.
Last game. So that's the first one that we've disagreed on, right? All right. Last game is Ole Miss, Oregon. I'm sorry, Ole Miss,
Georgia.
Georgia, and
I got to go first here, right? To make it even.
Georgia -7.
Yeah. So I'll go first, and I'll say I don't trust Old Miss without Lane Kiffin. They steamrolled Tulane, but it was Tulane. Georgia finds a way to win, and I know that we're betting with the spread, but
Right.
Georgia
Okay.
always finds a way to win. It seems like, and again, except for that one game against Alabama during the season. So I'm going to go with Georgia here. As much as I want Old Miss to win, I've got to pick Georgia.
All right. Well, I've already said. I think actually, I think Georgia is probably the better team, and they've been there, and I think that definitely bodes well for Georgia fans.
Their
I
coaching is better.
Their coaching is going to be top notch. Everything's going to be on point. That being said, sometimes in college football, you can't measure the team's heart and the team's will to win in any college sport. And yeah, I mean, come on, Ole Miss, do it, do it for. I would say for Lane Kiffin. Just do it for him, just to prove that they don't need you. You don't need.
Do it for yourselves.
Yeah, play. It's you against the world. Even your coach didn't like you and left. So, so all right. So we have two games we like together and two games that we disagree. And or I won't say I don't really disagree with you on the Georgia. I do on the Oregon. I think Texas Tech's a better team. So we'll see how that plays out. And I want to thank you, Sam, for joining me. I know we have some technical difficulties. I'm going to try to do better. And if the sound is not the same as always, I couldn't use my microphone. I'm using this through my laptop. And so hopefully we can get that fixed at some point. I want to thank my sponsor, Wentz Insurance. Jared, for all your insurance needs, call Wentz Insurance 740-808-3444. Oh, wait, that's my phone. 740-653-5535. Call Wentz Insurance. Or you can call me. I know a guy there at Wentz Insurance.
Go Buckeyes.
Let's go Bucks. And hey, be kind to one another. Help someone out. You never know what people are going through. So try to lift people up, not put them down like Sam does to me. Luckily, I'm very, very mentally tough. Yeah, I'm very mentally tough and can handle his digs. And but seriously, especially around the holidays, depression is a real thing. And if you can help someone out, it doesn't have to be monetarily. Because sometimes it's just a recognition of their presence, saying hi, helping them out with just anything. So be kind, and Nate, thanks, and go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll come back with some pertinent wellness information. The new podcast I'm working on, it'll be concerning red light therapy and hydrogen breathing. I know Sam is believer in some of the hydrogen stuff that I've given him. So we'll have hopefully have some more insight on that and what you can do to better your wellness. So thanks again for joining,
Merry
and
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you are, and supporting. And go Buckeyes. Thanks, Sam.
All
See
right.
you.
Bye, Alan. Bye, everybody.